stereo views of it. I showed this earlier in the show, and I see it says 417. I'd have to look and see the number. That doesn't sound right to me, but maybe it is. And here, from the Library of Congress, I have a Xerox of it. They have the original negative. And I don't know how many they have. And I have never personally handled one. But because Tipton took over Tyson's studio, and because the National Archives got negatives from Tyson's son Tipton's son after he died, they have some of the original glass plate negatives from some of these views. I'd be curious of, what size they are, what they look like, and of course, there's a few images of him I'd really like reproduced again from the original negative. I don't think I have much pull with the National Archives, though. At least I don't have pull with the photographic division. And just as an example, here are the same rocks today. And we are looking from near the road at Devil's Den. Devil's Den's behind us, and we're looking across what is referred to in early tour books as the Twin Elephant Rocks. So the one in the foreground, the one in the background being the Elephant Rock. Here's Lee's headquarters, and here's it's 573, and it is an 1867 view of Lee's headquarters. So you can kind of see that?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, I wanted to point out that in this one, do you see this is a William H. Tipton version of the Tyson image 573? And when I was a kid, I used to collect these Tipton views, and I don't think I understood that they were the original made from the Tyson negatives. But here is 573 from on an original Tyson card of Lee's headquarters. So we have the Brady 1863 views, and then we have the Tyson 1867 views. Look how the grape arbor has been put back up and it's kind of fallen back down. I mentioned to Civil War Trust that the grape arbor they put up, they only put it halfway across the house because that's how it's shown in the Matthew Brady view. But that's after the battle. During the battle, the grape arbor went all the way across. It's just fallen down. They did try to put it back up, and that's always tough. They wanted to recreate it as it appeared in the photographs, but that's after the battle, not before. So here's where we start to get into a dilemma. Here is 573, and it says 573 on it, and this is a William Tipton stereo view. As time went by, William Tipton decided to replace some of Tyson's images with different images. And so what happens now is, let's say you buy a William Tipton stereo card from the 1880s or 90s, and it has a Tyson number on it. You cannot assume that that is the photograph taken by Tyson, because Tipton replaced a lot of Tyson views. Here, I'll tell you a secret, I bet you don't know. In William Frassinato's book, it's not up there today. Gettysburg, A Journey in Time, he has a photograph of the Jenny Wade house that he says it's a C.J. Tyson, and it's not. It's a William Tipton 1880s view, but he didn't realize at that time that Tipton was replacing the images with another image. And that's why we don't know until we see it on the original C.J. Tyson mount. So it's very important. So here's the quick story.
Are the negative numbers
numbers in the replacing views?
Yes.
I can't
Yes.
see it here.
So he replaces the view and he gives it the same number. So here's the dilemma. So Tipton would occasionally replace a view with another view. Okay, let's say, well, you would think that, okay, he's got a picture of Lee's headquarters, and let's say one of his assistants dropped the glass plate and broke it. So they go out and record another view of the same site. But then, a lot of times, he didn't think a view was worth it, it wasn't selling well, so he just replaced that view with something totally different. And then he got tired of the replacement, and he replaced his replacements. And then, guess what? And this is something I found out by viewing all these photographs from different collectors. Occasionally, Tyson didn't record just one view under the same number. He might have 573, but he actually took 3 photographs that day, and the 3 of them are in the same folder under the same number. So occasionally, I've been at Eric's, and he showed me a stereo card he bought, and then I was at John Richter's, and they have the same number, and they're both C.J. Tyson's, and they're slightly different views from different angles. We call this variance. And what I've tried to do is make a comprehensive spreadsheet of 500, because I got to count to 500, through 580. And actually, I went up to 613, I think. I'll talk about that in a moment. And I listed the original version of the print, who has it that I know, where I've seen it from. And then I've listed what view eventually replaced it, and the replacement of the replacement, and if there's variance in that view. So actually, we're not just talking about 80 different numbers and 80 different views, we're talking about like 300 or 400. And this is where it starts to get a little complicated. So for some reason, the original series, they took a whole bunch of views of Evergreen Cemetery. But no one in the tourist, none of the tourists were interested in buying views of Evergreen Cemetery. So he decided to use these numbers for something else. Here's another. These 2 views of Evergreen Cemetery can be found on C.J. Tyson maps. But later, Tipton doesn't reproduce these. He reproduces another view with the same number. So these, guess what? The ones that have been replaced, the originals are more valuable, don't you think? Of course, nobody knows any of this, so the value of it really, it doesn't really determine all this.
Was that the background?
That's the Smizer, I think. The Smizer Memorial in Evergreen Cemetery, and I think there's a count saying that's the largest stone in the cemetery at the time of the battle. Okay? Culp's Hill in the background.
That's a great photo.
Yeah. And that you can find that today. There's I think a child on one of the stones just to the right of the Smizer Memorial. Smizer's a banker. Is it? I think Smizer's like Catherine Wills. I think that's her maiden name. So here's one of the replacements. In the 1870s, he actually started replacing these early on. So in the 1870s, he recorded a series of views in the Spangler Meadow, and 3 of them, Evergreen Cemetery views, got replaced by Spangler Spring views. And you can see it's William Tipton and Company. So this is in the 1870s. Here is the original entranceway to Hancock Avenue. I don't want to see the 1922 reincarnation. How does that fit in with our memorial landscape or our period? What is that thing? I don't like it. I just thought I'd say something controversial. Has anybody figured out why they put something from 1922 back? I don't like their explanation. So I think that should go back in. That's the original entrance to Hancock Avenue.
Wow.
Yeah, it's cheaper too, yeah. Yeah, it's a gate. It still keeps people out. Okay, but this was a replacement for 543. The original 543 was the Devil's Den view. Okay, and then in the 1870s, we have to have the Emmitsburg Road. So here is the Kadori farm looking across the fields of Pickett's Charge. And this is a replacement view. I think it replaced the Culp's Hill view. Here is the earliest known view of the clump of trees. So, of course, the aiming point of Pickett's Charge. It says it right there. Here's a neat view. I think this is from the top of the platform that was erected to record the views for the cyclorama that Paul Filippetto would use when he painted it. So Tipton obviously took his stereo camera up there besides the plate camera and recorded this view looking towards a clump of trees in 1882. Isn't that cool? It's before Hancock Avenue. So Hancock Avenue is originally known as Round Top Avenue. And that avenue was put in starting in the spring of 1882. So this has got to be before April. So it's probably like when he put that up, maybe March 1882. And here's one of Hancock Avenue and the copse of trees. And, there's a monument here.